Dobro večer, iznimno mi je drago što vas opet vidim ovdje, predsjednik dana festivala. Večeras je naš gost Rees. Razgovor s njim određat Tanja Tolić, inače novinarka Globusa, ali u našem književnom svijetu poznatija kao začetnica, možda najpopularnije web stranice o knjigama, najbolje knjige. Prepuštam vas Tanji i Reesu da čujete o polusvijetu, demimondu, jednom vrlo čudnom i vrlo specijalnom svijetu koje je Rees osmislila. Hvala.
Dobro večer svima. Naš večerašnji gost, britanski pisac Rees, godinama je zbog posla putovao svijetom, živio je na vrlo zanimljivim mjestima, gradio je farmaceutska postrojenja i dizajnirao je hotel sa jazz tematikom. A onda je prije 5 godina odlučio sagraditi jedan sasvim neobičan svijet, polusvijet. Riječ je o uzbudljivom virtualnom svijetu kojeg je Rees opisao u serijalu koji se sastoji od 4 romana. Prvi roman, križanac trilera i SF-a, objavio je 2012. godine i praktički odmah postao bestseller. Nakladnička kuća Fraktura, kao što možda znate, dosad je prevela prve 2 knjige iz serijala o polusvijetu, Polusvijet zima i Polusvijet proljeće, a ove su godine na engleskom jeziku objavljena i preostala 2 nastavka, Polusvijet ljeto i Polusvijet jesen. Gospodine Rees, dobrodošli u Hrvatsku. Možda da počnemo s njim, odakle vam ideja... Odakle vam ideja za takvu uzbudljivu priču?
The very first book I wrote was a play on the Jekyll and Hyde story. I wrote the book, sent it off as every would-be writer does to try and find an agent. It found an agent, but unfortunately didn't find a publisher. So I had to go back to square one. But having done so much work on the Victorian world and on psychopaths, Mr. Hyde, I decided that I had to find a way of incorporating all that work, all that research. So I needed a world which encompassed a Victorian milieu with psychopaths. So I came up with, well, let's have a virtual world. And once you have a virtual world, you have to stand back and say, why is that virtual world there? Oh, the US military have designed it in order to train their soldiers in the arts of asymmetric warfare and guerrilla warfare. And it just came on from there. And as you know, Tanya, it just sort of grew. So I suppose it came by accident. Is that okay?
Okay. Na romanima ste radili jako dugo. Pisali ste ih 5 godina, napisali ste preko 2000 stranica. To se čini kao ogroman posao. Koji su bili najveći izazovi dok ste pisali? Šta je bilo najteže?
Boredom. I mean, every writer, the Denimond, as Tanya says, I suppose I wrote 1 million words in order to condense down to the 650,000 words which are in the books. And trying to keep yourself motivated over that length of time is difficult. I attend any number of writers' groups, and you're inevitably asked the question, what makes a writer? And the answer is, they're the people who write. And it sounds very simplistic, but there are any number of people who come to the writers' groups who have terrific ideas, absolutely marvellous ideas, and write 20,000 words which are brilliant, and then they stop. And all that effort, all those ideas just disappear. Writers write, and I don't know what it is, I think it's some sort of genetic fault. You've just got to sit down and write. And it might be absolute rubbish you write, but you write it. And at the end of the day, you've got 200,000, 250,000 words, and you think, well, 150,000 of them are okay. So let's get rid of 100,000 and see what we've got left. So I think the biggest challenge any writer has is to motivate themselves in order to start at the beginning and to write the words the end. So that's the biggest challenge, I think. I mean, there's loads of other things. I mean, you can have decent ideas, you could have a plot, you've got to have characters, but that's incidental. I mean, they can be worked on. The key thing is motivating yourself.
Rekli ste da vas je mučilo dosadan, ali sigurno je bilo i zabavnih dijelova. Šta je zabavno u pisanju romana, u pisanju takve priče?
Funny. Not so much, there are a lot of rotten parts, really bad parts. When the first time I sent the demi-monde ventre off and it was accepted by a publishing house in the UK, and I was so naive, or stupid, one of the two, that I hadn't realised what the editing process was. So I sent the book off and I said, finished, great, I'll move on to the next book. And then the book comes back covered in red ink. And the guy is saying, well, I don't like this. Can we take out 40,000 words, Rob, and really can we speed up the beginning? And that character we want to bring right to the front. So the editing was a real shock. Because you don't realise that there are professionals out there who, they say, oh, we love your work, Rod, but. And that's the most dangerous word in an editor's vocabulary. When he says the word but, you know you're in for a lot of work. So I think that was the biggest shock. And once I've got over that, you're saying good things about it. Yeah, there are good things. I mean, when an agent phones you up and says, yeah, I really think this has got potential. That's a great phrase. This has got potential. And what that means is, I quite like it, but I'm not sure. So I'm not going to say it's good. I'm going to say it's okay, it's got potential. So then you hear those words and you think, oh, great, I've got an agent. And then he says, it'll take at least 6 months for it to get a publisher. So you sort of steel yourself to get ready for a long wait. Because you've got this hiatus, this gap, and you don't really know what to do. Do I work on the second book and nobody wants the first one? Or do I just wait or work on something new? And I was very fortunate because Quirkers, my UK publisher, came back very quickly. So I knew almost instantly that, yeah, the book was a goer and I could work on the second novel. I was telling Tanya last night that because I didn't want to, the phrase in English is count my chickens before they were hatched, I determined not to think about the second book in the Denman series before the first one was sold. And Quirkers came back and said, yeah, we really like the books, Rod. Now, can you tell us how books 2, 3 and 4 are going to be? Can you give us a synopsis of the plots? Can you let us have that back in half an hour? And I wrote it in half an hour. I just made up nonsense. And I came back and said, yeah, it sounds great. So, yeah, there's a lot of bullshit in writing.
Možda bi mogli objasniti zašto su ove godine izišle 2 knjige? To baš nije tipično u nakladničkom svijetu.
What I wanted, what I was trying to persuade Rees to do, was to publish books at 6 monthly intervals. Those of you who have read the first books will know that I ended them on a cliffhanger, so that I could sort of coerce the readers into moving on to the next book. Oh, I've got to see what happens next. The problem is that what I found is that readers have got a very short attention span. And they get to a cliffhanger and they want to resolve it, they want to know what happens. And they get really quite cross, and I've had some really interesting emails on the subject, saying that, right, where's the next book? And we say, well, it's coming out in a year. And are you joking? I've read this book, I want to know what happens, and I've got to wait a year. So I've been trying to persuade Quercus to get them. I mean, this year they have, so fortunately. All the books are now out in English, so that's good news. Good news for me anyway, I got the royalties.
Rekli ste jednom da ste Polusvijet stvorili zato da bi svojim omiljenim likovima iz povijesti dali neko mjesto da se igraju. Ali u vašim knjigama ima jako čudnih likova. Neki od njih baš nisu dobri likovi. Koji su to omiljeni likovi iz povijesti?
Oh, you mean the ones in the demi-monde? The great thing about, in the demi-monde, as those of you who have read the books know, I've populated it with a number of psychopaths, bad guys from history. And they are predominantly bad guys, because it's very difficult to find bad girls. The trait of a psychopath seems to be something which is predominantly a male preserve. There aren't really any really nasty women out in history. So it was very easy to find bad guys. And I tried to use the characters who weren't as well known, so there's no Hitler or Stalin in the books. Although I've got Mao Zedong as a eunuch in book 3, which I thought he deserved. So, having got the bad guys in, I thought, well, where are my good guys? Where are the people I admire from history? And so there's Josephine Baker, who some of you may know as a great jazz singer, a black woman who made a huge success in the 1920s in Europe, a real trailblazer for female and racial equality, so she had to go there. There's a character called Nikolai Kondratiev, who's a Russian economist, and you can tell what a boring life I've led. One of my heroes is an economist. He was developed a lot of theories about the cyclical nature of history, which I found very interesting, how things repeat themselves. So I had Kondratiev in there. And there was a Chinese girl called Sun Tzu, some of the less well-known characters from history. I had a lot of fun with these guys, bringing them back to life and sort of trying to see how they would interact with one another. When you've got Heydrich, the architect of the Holocaust, interacting with Beria, who's Stalin's right-hand man. It's quite an interesting juxtaposition. I had quite a lot of fun working on
that. Zašto su vam psihopati toliko zanimljivi? Ima ih jako puno, 18.
Well, as I say, I did a lot of work when I was writing my version of Jekyll and Hyde on Hyde, simply because he is a quintessential psychopath. So I on the traits of madmen, of evil people. And the writers in the audience will know, once you've done a lot of research, you're really loath not to use it, because it's just a waste of time otherwise. So it was, I felt it was, these are interesting characters. Evil is quite a seductive thing. People think it's terrifying evil, that it's something that people shun, but it isn't. As history's shown us, evil people are really quite magnetic. They're very charismatic people. And I wanted to explore that, to look at how evil people, how they enticed good people to do bad things. Yeah, okay, I had 18 of them, Tanya, simply because I had to divide my world into 5 sectors. So I was trying to set each book into a different milieu, into a different setting. So each one had a different racial, different religious, different geographic setting. And so I had to populate them with psychopaths who were associated with those racial, religious sort of groupings. So that's why there's so many of them. Maybe I just like madmen.
Na vašoj web stranici ste rekli kako je naša civilizacija kroz povijest zapravo bila sretna jer se nikad u istom razdoblju nisu pojavilo više od 2 psihopata. Ostali ste mi dužni ocjenjati taj odgovor. Vi ste mi rekli ko su današnji psihopati, koga bi se trebali bojati?
It was a very drunken evening. Very bad one. But the answer is that, and this is something said to me on Sunday. The interesting thing is that if you look at history, these uber psychopaths, these really charismatic guys, these really bad people, they only tend to appear 1, at the most 2 at a time. So you'd have a Hitler, you'd have a Stalin, and a Mao Zedong, but you wouldn't really have 3 really big ones. But the interesting thing is that since the Second World War, something's changed. I don't quite know what it is, but having to prepare for the talk which comes after this, which is on utopias, I started to think, why is it that it's so easy for writers to write about dystopias, about bad futures, and so difficult to write about good futures? And there seems to be something about life, about people, that they become it's very difficult for them to be optimistic about life, to look forward to the future with hope. They're always, even now, I mean, we're all sitting here, a lot of people sitting here thinking, oh, you know, climate change, National Geographic this month, oh, in 80 years, London's going to be gone, New York's going to be gone, New Orleans is going to be gone, you know, the sky's falling in, it's all doom and despondency. Actually, I don't think so, actually. So, I don't think there are. Those psychopaths are finding it more and more difficult to rise to the top. I don't know why. There's something changed since the Second World War. And I don't know if it's because of mass media, that it's easier for people to see the flaws in these people's arguments, and the flaws in their political beliefs. And maybe it's the internet just that all of a sudden you're stripping away, the emperor's got no clothes, you're able to see just how bad, how evil these people are more quickly. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe, you know, the days of the uber psychopath are over. I hope so. Does that answer your question?
Hvala. U romanu jako puno pišete I o ideologijama I religijama. Je li to inače nešto što vas u životu okupira?
I've always got to be very careful when I answer questions like that because, especially if you don't know your audience, because generally in the UK there is at least a couple of people who are very, very right-wing in terms of religion, some who are, especially the women. Wow. There are always some ardent feminists out there, and they go for the throats. They don't muck around. And yeah, I mean, I am nervous as an individual about religion. I'm nervous about anything which people feel very strongly about, because all political systems are quasi-religious. All political systems tend to have a sacred tract. They've got an original prophet. They've got. They're all evangelical. They want to change the world. Most of them are triumphalists. They want to be the one dogma which rules them all. So I'm always very suspicious about politics and religion because it seems to me that their whole aim is to stop people thinking. And they do this by, the word is hereticalizing. And this is a phenomenon which is you see on the internet now with trolling. I don't know if you have that word in Croatian, where if you say something which a sector of the public doesn't like, you're subjected to enormous critical swamping on the internet. And this to me is an example of people trying to stop people saying something that provokes a reaction. And I find it very, very troubling. I'm an atheist, and I admit it. So I just am nervous about fervent politicians, fervent evangelists, anybody who is determined to say, I know the answers, and if you don't follow what I'm saying, you are my enemy. And to me it's wrong. You should be able to say, I hear what you say, I don't agree with it, and here's why. Now tell me why I'm wrong. But for somebody to say, you are against me and therefore you are my enemies, it's just wrong. And that's what I think what I try to do in the denouement, to say, look, there are certain principles, there are certain belief systems where people say, you've got to have faith. You mustn't think, you must just believe. And so I looked at fascism, I looked at hedonism, I looked at feminism, forgive me. So I tried to look at those and to make them a little bit absurd, so people say, yeah, maybe I should think about this slightly differently, come at it left field a bit.
Mislim, spomenuli ste feminizam, mislim da sad morate našoj publici ispričati kako vas je jedna od vaših junakinja iz drugog dijela romana uvalila u nevolje sa feministkinjama. Šta se dogodilo?
Okay. I had to do a blog for my publisher to support the publication of Fall, the last book in the series. And like a fool, I thought, I'll do something provocative. And I cited two things. One is that I called feminism a quasi-religious belief system. And I said that my character in the film, Odette, was to me a strong female character. And I'm sorry about this, I'll have to swear. I was inundated with shit. I was swamped. That I had the audacity to call feminism quasi-religious, when I actually believe all political systems are quasi-religious. And that Odette, who's seen in at the opening of the third novel, admiring herself in a mirror, I was told that women do not do that. And I had to go back and say, well, actually, I've got two daughters, one's 19 and one's 21, and I've got a lovely wife. And I must have the only three women in the world who do that. Basically, they came out and said, yes, you have. Nobody else does that. No other women look at themselves in mirrors. And it was this sort of absurdity. The big problem I had was you can't argue against it. You can't say, oh yes they do, because the answer is, oh no they don't. And you get into a do, don't, so it's a ridiculous argument. So yeah, it was, what I've learned from that is I stayed very, very, very far away from feminists now. All women in fact.
Ja sam osobno čitajući vaše romane stekla da vi zapravo jako volite žene i divite se ženama. Uostalom, vaše dvije glavne junakinje u romanu su žene. Da li volite zapravo više žene kao junake u romanima nego muškarci?
Oh, women are much better characters. I mean, men are so stereotyped in books now. I mean, they've always got to be heroic, and sensible, and brave, fearless. They're so boring. I mean, women actually think. Women will stand back and think, do I want to go into this battle, or shall I just stay here? Men, no, let's advance. Sod the tanks, let's advance. So women, I mean, to me, and I based my two lead characters, Norma and Ella, on my two daughters, Kit and Ellie. I've always refused to tell them which is which, because there's a third character called Trixie, who's got some traits of both of them. But I find women characters much more deep in a way, that what they do is unexpected. And the great thing about women is that they know about change. Women go from being maidens, to being mothers, to being widows. They know about changing life. They know what it is to give life. And change, I think, is very important in a character. That it's very easy to write a character who goes through all these experiences in the book and isn't affected by them. That they remain immutable through the story. And people don't do that. If you're in a war situation or something tragic happens to you, you change. It affects you. And I think women are much more, they accommodate that change and they signal that change, whereas men, especially British men, stiff upper lip, you mustn't show any emotion, heaven forbid that you become depressed or you cry, or no, you've got to be straight laced. So women Yeah, anyway, I'm attracted to women. Women are great. I lived with three of them. I'm not saying anything else.
Sinoć ste mi čak rekli da smatrate da je došlo vrijeme da žene počnu vladati.
Oh, I absolutely believe that. If you recorded history from 3000 BC, so we've had 5,000 years of history, and if you study history, you can see that it's generally a complete and utter shambles, and men have made a complete travesty of history. And so I think it's time for women to actually take the lead. I'm hopeful that my daughters will do that. I've encouraged them all the way through it. I want my daughters to be, not to be confined by their gender, not to have, to assume a role, which I think, I look at my daughters, Kit and Ellie, very intelligent girls, very determined girls. Why shouldn't they be moulding our society much more than their forebears did in the 20th century? I think it's absolutely essential, because women are much more sensible than blokes. I mean, you stand back and look at the war situations and you think, would a woman, oh, okay, Margaret Thatcher accepted. Would a woman have taken us into these sort of wars? Would a woman have sat back and seen some of the terrible things happen? And the answer is, no, I don't think they would. They see a much more wider picture. They're much less. I use the phrase malevolence in the denouement, and I capitalise M-A-L-E, male valence, which I use to sort of indicate that all men have inside them this predilection that if they've got a problem, that the answer is violence. If you don't like something, destroy it. Whereas women, rather than going through a problem, actually go around it. So I think, yeah, hopefully in the 21st century, some of the young women will grow to lead countries and be much more active in controlling the destiny of the world. And I think it's a better thing for it. All the blokes out there saying, what? Crap.
Vratimo se malo polusvijetu. Njega žanrovski opisuju kao steampunk. Mogli bismo reći da je to viktorijanski SF. Međutim, vi baš ne volite tu odrednicu. Zašto?
Apologies to say. Publishers have got an inclination to put everything in boxes. So, what is your story A? It's crime, romance, erotica, SF, steampunk. So you want to put it into a box. I find this unbelievably aggravating, because what it means is that the books are marketed and directed at a specific audience. And you might write something which you think, oh, would appeal to a wider spectrum of readers, but you end up being pigeonholed. So, yeah, there are steampunk elements. Steampunk is, the audience probably know, is basically SF based in a sort of Victorian milieu, which parts of the demi-monde are. But I really wanted it to be wider than that, and to stop people like saying it's steampunk. You're getting pissed off at me.
Međutim, vi ovisni o krvi, moraju svaki dan popiti malu količinu krvi. Da li to znači da se ipak malo pokleknuli pred trendovima, jer to dosta nalikuje na vampirski žanr?
Sometimes you do things and 2 years later you think, oh, why did you do that? Well, really, that was dumb. When I was setting up the demi-monde, I wanted there to be, the demi-monde as a world is one where everybody is always fighting somebody else. It's a dysfunction. It's a sort of constructed dystopia. And so I wanted there to be what I called areas of tension. One of them was the population densities. There was so many people crammed into the demi-monde that it's difficult for them to live comfortably. You have different religions, you have different races, you have different languages, all the things which have precipitated wars in the past. But I wanted to do something different. And I stumbled on this idea that I will make them blood dependent. The demi-mondency, the digital duplicates that inhabit the demi-monde. The problem, as Tanya so aggravatingly and accurately says, is once you go down that path, you're sort of, people start saying, ah, vampires, vampires. So I had to, as you will see, I hope, Tanya, when you read books 3 and 4, you will see I've sort of tried to get round it a bit. I'm not going to give anything away, but it's not, there are vampires, but I think they're sort of more sophisticated vampires.
Prošli tjedan na vašem blogu sam pročitala jedan zanimljiv post koji ste objavili u povodu objave 4. knjige. I u njemu ste napisali da se sada, kad ste gotovi, postavljaju 2 pitanja. Jedno je što biste danas drugačije napisali u serijalu, a drugo koje se meni činilo puno zanimljivije, je li vrijedilo proći kroz sve to?
No, I'll take the first one first. Every writer, and I say this is an absolute fact, you write a book and you go back and read it 2 or 3 years later and you think, incredible Christmas, why did I write that? Oh, please, can I go back and re-edit it? Can I change it? Because you change. The more you write, the better you get, or what you deem as important in your writing changes. So, yeah, I mean, when I was flying over to Croatia, I reread the first demi-monde book for the first time in 3-4 years, and I was saying, what are you doing? Why didn't you take this out? You should have done this. You should have moved that chapter there. But the thing is, it's lost. It's finished. It's etched in stone. It's there. That's where you were 4 or 5 years ago, and hard luck. There's no going back. So that's the first thing. I think every writer's got to come to terms with the fact that once you've written it, once it's published, that's it, hard luck. That's you in stone. The other one was, I look back, and this is 5 years of my life I devoted to the demi-monde, and you think, was that 5 years a good investment? Because there were lots of ups and downs in that time, and I think every writer knows that sometimes things are going well, and sometimes they're going badly, sometimes the ideas are flowing, sometimes they aren't. And you get to the end of that 5 years and you think, have I invested 5 years of my time, not just profitably, but has it been worthwhile? Should I have done something else? Should I have taken up kayaking or mountain climbing or something, done that with my 5 years instead I've spent it in front of a bloody computer bashing out 3,000 words a day. And I think the answer I came to is that it's important for me to be able to say, yeah, there's something of me out there that I've actually taken the ideas I had and I put them down in writing and they're out there. Now people may not like them, tough. That's me. And I think just to make a mark, even if it's not a terribly big mark, it's very important. And I think it's something which a lot of writers, they just want to say, yeah, I've done something, this is me, what do you think? So yeah, it was worth it, but there were times when it was like that.
Kako to da ste se uopće prije 5 godina odlučili tako drastično promijeniti karijeru i postati pisac? Sino ste im malo pričali što ste sve radili, to je zaista nevjerojatno uzbudljiv život bio.
Yeah, Tanya actually knew Steely Dan. I don't think they're a great American rock band, known only to those who are sort of my age or older, if there are anybody older. And they did a great song called Showbiz Kids, which said, if I can remember the lyrics, I've been around the world, I've been to the Washington Zoo, and the more I've travelled as the facts unravelled, I found this to be true. And what I found to be true is, and I have been around the world. I mean, spent a lot of time in Africa, in the Middle East. I lived in Iran when the Shah was falling. I was in Gaza when it was very hot. I lived in Russia when communism was crumbling. No, everywhere I go is a complete. Maybe it's me. I sort of go there and think, oh Christ, what's here? You know, political system's going to be shit now. So anyway.
It's awful.
Yeah, I hope not. And the one thing I found as I was going around the world were there are two things in common about everybody around the world. One is their duplicity, that they'll tell you one thing and do another. I mean, that's a common human trait. And it's something I try to put into the demi-monde. And the other thing is that there is a duality about life. There's what people will tell you is the system, what is their situation, what their beliefs are, but the reality is often very, very, very different. I can remember going to Russia for the first time and sitting across a table from some very stony-faced guys negotiating with them, and that was the official look. You know, we're not going to talk to you, you know, we're not going to be nice to you, we're not going to smile, we're just going to glower. But an hour later, and you know, several glasses of vodka in, they were much different. There was this duality. There was the official face, and there was the unofficial face. And it did get me thinking. I couldn't actually identify people. I didn't know what people were. It was as though you meet people and you didn't really know them. And I think that's one of the things I tried to put into the demi-monde, that everything isn't quite what you believe it is. Maybe it's just me, I don't know.
Međutim, putovanje u Rusiju vam je donijelo jednu dobru stvar, kako ste upoznali svoju suprugu i ta ljubav traje već 25 godina.
Yeah, my wife Nellie is Russian. I wouldn't regret anything about traveling around the world, especially to young people. Get out there, go and see it because it's some really weird places out there, some very strange people. And it's important to meet them because you start thinking, well, maybe what I'm writing in the denouement isn't quite so freaky. There are places, I mean, you go to Lagos on an evening and it brings home to you very viscerally what it's like to live in a place like Demimonde. It's really terrifying. But there are great things. I met my wife. I had a great time in Russia when I was living there. Loved it. I mean, got out in the end because it became less lovely. But that's life. That's duality. You start off with a good thing and you end up with something which isn't quite so good. Now, my daughter, my elder daughter, Kit, is now going to live in Russia for a year as part of her degree, so hopefully it's gone from nice to not so nice to nice again, I hope so anyway. Otherwise I'm going to have to be going over there.
Pišete i dalje, naravno. Hoćete nam otkriti nešto o novim stvarima?
I've written the start of a series starring Nikola Tesla. I stumbled over Tesla when I was looking for a candidate for somebody to put in the denouement, and I started to read about Tesla's life. And the problem with him is that he's so freaky. I can't actually exaggerate this guy. I can't make him, I can't fictionalize him because he's so screwy. So I sort of put him aside. I couldn't forget him. Nikola Tesla, as you all know, was a genius. The guy who gave us power, alternating current. A bona fide, and there aren't very many geniuses. This guy was exceptional. He was also very, 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 very strange. Obsessive compulsive. Always, whenever he sat down in a restaurant, he'd be served 28 napkins and cooled. He can wipe his knives and forks and plates. His best friends, when he died, were pigeons. And he couldn't make it up. So I sort of sat there and thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make him a fictional character. And I'm going to use all those traits and have him as a sort of, put him in situations in the real world. And this is sort of turn of the century, 1900, sorry, turn of the previous century, until how old I am. And the first book, which is now out, published, is called, I'm sorry to say that, Tesla versus the Martians. I mean, these were left vampires out. So that's out. And I've just finished a novella with a friend of mine, which is going to be published in a couple of weeks, called Invent 10N, which is an anti-surveillance diatribe, which again, unfortunately, features another female character, so I'm going to be in for another kicking from the fence. So I've been busy.
Ovo su bila samo moja pitanja. Puno vam zahvaljujem na razgovoru. Skoro još pitanje.
Tako to biva kada sjedite u ulici Nikole Tesle i imate razgovor. Hvala Tanji Tović, hvala našim prevoditeljicama, Hrvoji Hefer koja je prevodila simultano i Patriciji Vodopi koja je do sada prevela pola polusvijeta, a drugu polovicu polusvijeta očekujte uskoro. Hvala vam svima, vidimo se u 21 sat, tema je nove utopije, mogli smo reći distopije. Gostovat će Rees, Franjo Janeš, Edo Popović, a u međuvremenu band Sebastian Dog će svirati dolje. Hvala vam lijepa, nadam se da se vidimo u 21 sat.